Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And Ron, real quick, I'm going to fade out the music early this time. Small announcement I want to make concerning our music that we use on the show. As you may or may not know, the song is called By the Numbers, which I thought was very fitting for the community that we do and the games that we play. By the Numbers was fitting. It's a longtime band, a favorite of mine called Metal Church. I've been following them since 1985, since I was a wee lad in high school. And that song By the Numbers, I asked for permission to use it. They let me use it, and we appreciate that. And so you've been hearing Metal Church start the show and end the show for the last couple of years. Well, unfortunately, the current lead singer of the band died on Monday. Shocking news to people who follow the band. Shocking news to me. I was as upset about that as I was with Neil Peart from Rush when he died. So just wanted to pass that along. I just wanted to say, Mike Howe, who was the lead singer. Rest in peace, Mike. I enjoyed your music, and we will continue to play this on the show as long as we are allowed to. But I did want to bring that up. It's just kind of some sad news here. Unfortunately, again, just kind of come out of the blue this week. But, so we'll continue to play By the Numbers by Metal Church in honor of Mike here. And it's something, like I say, I think I like the song. It's very energetic. It gets me really excited to do the show when that opening riff comes in, and I've always enjoyed that. And if you saw any of my video the other day, I did talking about Mike on YouTube. Music's my drug. I never did drugs, and I'm glad I didn't. And I'm not judging anybody that did, but I never did. My drug was music. So I would sit and I would play this album and my Ronnie James Dio and my Black Sabbath and my Rush, and I would that really kind of, that was my drug. It did. It did things to my body, and it made me feel good. It put me in a good position when I played that stuff there. And so it's so sad that now I've lost Ronnie James Dio, Neil Peart, and now Mike Howe from Metal Church. My three favorite bands would be them right there. And unfortunately now I'll never see them play live again, and I won't get any new music from them. So anyway, just wanted to get that out of the way. So this is episode 99, Ron.
Is there anyone that we might know that
I can't think of anybody that wears 99 that would...
I can't believe this is going to be the Hartley Dykes episode of... No.
Who was the guy that wore 99 on the Bears? There was a guy that wore on the Bears. Was it Hampton or something like that?
It wasn't Dean Hampton, was it?
Oh, boy. There was somebody that had 99 on the Bears.
I can hear the screaming all the way from wherever it's coming from, and obviously...
The screaming is coming from Asia. It's from Hockey Unreal. He's screaming, Gretzky, Gretzky, Gretzky. I know he is. So, okay, the Wayne Gretzky episode 99.
It's the great one. The great
episode 99. And I would like to tease that for episodes 100 and 101, we got two fantastic guests lined up as we turn the corner here into triple digits. So no longer can we name a show after anybody. There's really no hundreds, I don't think. So we're gonna have to come up with a new way of naming our shows. We really are.
I believe that we've done 99 of these.
I know. Can you believe that? 99 episodes coming up on 100. Yeah. So, and I do want to say thanks to everybody that did donate to our fundraiser this summer. There's still time to donate if you'd like to do that to help us pay for another year of the podcast costs and the web costs and everything else that goes along with keeping the show on the air. We do try to keep this show ad-free, at least the audio version. So anything you hear on iTunes or Spreaker, you guys are funding that. So we don't need to put ads on that. When it comes to YouTube and Twitch and other third parties like that, we don't control that. So if you're listening on YouTube, or sometimes we go to Twitch, or if there's any other platform that inserts ads, we don't control that. So I just wanted to get that up front, that if you're on YouTube and you're seeing an ad or whatever it is, that we're not putting that in. That's just kind of what they do to keep their platform going, so to speak. But on Spreaker, we do control Spreaker and the audio version when it goes out to YouTube, iTunes and stuff like that. So So just wanted to kind of clarify that there. But anyway, thanks to everybody that has donated to keep the show going for another year. Ways to get a hold of us. Digitaltodice.com is the website where we park all the shows. The text line, 978-751-DICE, 978-751-3423. The email, digitaltodice@yahoo.com. And over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digital-to-dice. And that's been a very active Facebook group, still growing. And
we're almost at 800. Almost at 800.
Yeah, we are climbing up there. We're doing very well with that. A lot of activity on that. A lot of good discussions going on as well. So what have you been playing, Ron?
So, my 1949 baseball season just doesn't want to end.
It won't. It's like the rain. It's like the rain around here. I went out to cut my grass today, Ron. It was beautiful out. I get on the tractor. I go out in the yard. Now, I don't have a huge yard, but it's decent size. It takes me, half hour, 45 minutes. Storm comes in, rains on me. I get done. Sun comes out. So, yeah, the rain won't end, just like your season won't end.
It was 60 here this morning, by the way.
Yes, it is cold out. It's almost August and it's freezing out.
Freezing. We've hit the end of the scheduled regular season, and we did a couple double header and making sure. I mean, we've had a great race in the National League between the Brooklyn Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals. And I get requests all the time from certain people from Massachusetts to have more Tickle Me Elmo on my channel. I don't know how we're going to carry that through after this season is done, but you're going to get at least 2 more games of Tickle Me Elmo, because the last 2 days, Brooklyn went in the last day of the season with a chance. If they won their game, they were the champions of the National League. Mm-hmm. Okay? And so they played with the confidence of a teenage boy on prom night, and didn't play very well at all. So Philadelphia beat them. So it came down to today's stream between the Cardinals and the Cubs, who've lost 97 games. So as I said during the game itself, the Dodgers are relying on the Cubs to beat the Cardinals. Is like you asking a 7th grade boy to clean his room. That might happen once every 5 times you ask, but you're going to find the plates, 3 weeks later. And for 6 innings, or for 5 innings, the Cubs are up 4-0. And game 1 of our best-of-3 playoff is Wednesday at 11:30. The Cardinals charged back to force the playoff. So 154 games was not enough. And as we've said in previous editions, best-of-3, that's how the National League did it. Game 1 in St. Louis, games 2 and 3 if needed in Brooklyn. And the Yankees hope for 3 games in 45 innings in game 3.
Do you think that really ties them out in PC games, or are you just kind of making that
up? No.
I don't know how that plays, because some PC games really, the fatigue factor comes in.
Action PC gives the option of giving some rest. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Here's how I juggled it, because you're trying to be realistic, and obviously there was no television in 1949, at least at that level. And so season ends on a Sunday. I gave them 1 day to get from their respective cities to St. Louis, because you'd be doing it by train then. And so game 1 would be Tuesday, the 4th of October. And then they'll all get on trains, travel to Brooklyn. Game 2 would be on that so they would do a travel day. And then I will start the World Series 48 hours technically after whenever that series is done. So the Yankees get full rest, and they'll be able to do whatever they want. But there'll be some. So yes, for whoever wins the National League, they wouldn't be able to properly match up ace versus ace, because just like in real life,
right?
We try to make
so that's something you manually will do.
But that's me doing it.
Yeah, okay.
I could theoretically go through, start the World Series on any given date, and assign 3 days rest to everybody, and everyone would start fresh. But I don't find that for me. Yeah. To be very realistic. If you're coming off a hard-fought series, the relievers will be fine. But I don't want someone who have pitched the deciding game to come out 2 days later to pitch game 1 of the World Series.
Yeah, because you don't want anybody...
In the World Series, all hands on deck, but not for...
Yeah, and you don't want anybody getting injured. And that's our topic today, by the way.
Injuries,
We're going to talk injuries. We didn't bring that up. Yeah, we're going to talk about injuries today and how you handle that in your game, the good and the bad with that.
For this, it's all just in-game injuries anyway. So there's no long-term, somebody can't get beamed and then missed 2 weeks. We'll talk about that later on during the meat of the show. But so for my purposes, any injuries in game, and you're automatically better the next day.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so there's all sorts of mucking around with that and such, and so I'm excited about it. I'm ready to start the next project, but I'm excited about this, and I think my viewers are too. So we got the playoff. We got a de facto championship in a season that didn't have playoffs. Obviously, just the World Series. If it was the American League, it would have been a best of one.
Yeah, you said that one game
playoff.
Yeah.
So, what else? I set up to do some more bowling. I still need to do a video on that. That's been pretty much it. Was trying to find some time to get some more basketball in. Loving that PC replay basketball.
That's fun.
And I've got a project going with regarding the new version of Pro Strategy Football. Al and I are going to be doing something for that, and so some good things coming up for sure. But that's about all I've been outside of Gems.
Yeah, Gems of War. Yeah. Let's see what I've been playing here. I've actually work has come back with the fury. I was out of work for 4 or 5 weeks, and now it comes back, and I'm working practically every day or every night again. And so let's see. I've been playing a lot of golf. Although I did. Me, you, and Al, Al, you and I, however you want to say it. We did get our 77-78 NHL playoff product to the finals, Montreal and Boston. Bruins came back and won 3 in a row to get by the Islanders, so they will go on to play Montreal in the finals. I need to get Game 1 going. I think me and you are going to do the finals between Montreal and Boston, and we'll figure out how we're going to do that. So we did get it to the finals, but I haven't done Game 1 of the finals yet, so that's on the table.
I find it funny that we didn't have a real series in the second and third round, but we got the Cup final right.
Yeah. Round 1 we did exact. Rounds 2 and 3 were very different, and then the finals are exact. Yeah. That's kind of how that worked out. Been playing a lot of golf. Still enjoying that Inside the Cup.
Yep.
I am from Inside Sports.
I see Rob is playing that now too.
Yeah, he's doing the cards and dice version. I'm doing kind of mostly PC, but I did the screen cap some of the cards, and I do play offline some of the cards and dice version of the game, because I can do more with that than you can on the PC. It's a little bit more flexible with the cards and dice. The PC is kind of locked into either a round score or a hole by hole, and there's nothing in between. So I've been playing some of that. I started to do I'm doing 18 holes, but I did 9 first, and I got the other 9 coming up. It's Spain versus England, so I took 2 Spanish golfers and 2 English golfers and had them square off, and whoever won the hole would get a point for their team. And if
match play, yeah.
Yeah, so if nobody won the hole, then there's no points, there's no carryover. So I think after 9 holes, it's 3-2 in favor of England, I think it is. And that's been kind of enjoyable. It's just something I put together for fun, just to play the game, because I enjoy sitting back and playing that game. I really do. And I wanted to have some kind of a competition instead of just playing out holes, so I have that going on there. I picked up Dice Nuts Golf and Dice Nuts Hockey. Okay? Now, I haven't played the hockey yet. I did play the golf. I am enjoying the golf immensely.
When I watched your unboxing video, I knew you'd like that game.
Yeah. I done a couple of videos on it. One I did, and I didn't do a very good job with it, so I took that down and I redid it on the table with a video camera. This is a hard game to show off. I don't know why, but I'm having a hard time showing this game and showing how to play it. It's not a difficult game, but just kind of how it's done is because you have the holes printed out on a piece of paper, like a standard sheet of paper. Those are your holes. And then you tee off, and it shows you your landing spots for the tee, 1 through 20. So there's usually anywhere between 5 and 7 different areas that you can land, depending on what the outcome is of the tee shot. And then you have your approach shot. Again, now that's a 0 through 9, and then you try to get on the green and putt. So there's 3 phases to that game, as there is in golf, and I'm having a heck of a time showing it off just because of how it's laid out. It's fun to play. It's easy to play. I am enjoying it immensely, but trying to get this to stream has been a real challenge. to try to, because it's just, you're on a sheet of paper, you're using a third of the sheet of paper. That's the hole there, and so you're trying to put your golfers over stuff, and it's just hard to do because there's not enough room to do that. So I think maybe what I should do is scan the holes and enlarge them on a computer, and then I can move the golfers and
I was impressed with the gloss and the quality of the holes. You bought Augusta.
Yeah, I got Augusta. Yep, I don't think it's PDF. I think it's print and ship only.
Printed, right? Yeah.
Which I wish they had a PDF option, because I would order a bunch of courses and print them out myself, and I could make them nice and big if I wanted to. But it's enjoyable. It's you roll the dice and you look at the course. The course has an adjustment and the player card has an adjustment depending on the shot you're taking. So if the course is 0, let's say, and the player adjustment is -1, whatever you roll on a 20-sided die, you subtract 1, and then you look to where you would land. And then you take your second approach shot, and it's the same thing. Sometimes you're in the rough and you're adding a couple to your roll because you're in the rough. Other times, you're adding less if you're in the fairway. And you roll the 10-sided die and you look at, what you're adding from the course, what you're subtracting from the player card, and that gives you your final number, and you see where you land. And it's all dice driven, and it's really fun. It's really simple. Enjoying it very much. So Dice Nuts Golf is really fun. The hockey game, I read the rules last night. It didn't seem all that complicated, but I haven't played it yet, so I really can't get a full report on that. But the golf
team sheets, right? It's all team sheets.
Yes, all team sheets. They're really laid out funky. I think I'm going to have to add some color to them or do some shading or something, because it's just kind of all there, and it's like the player name with all the stats, and it's just confusing to me, maybe because I'm not used to it. So, but it is team sheets there, and that's one of those things where you see who wins the face-off. The guy gets the puck. You decide if you're going to skate or pass. You compare his rating to the other player rating, and then that gives you a number on the chart. So it's math. It's not the math I really enjoy. I don't like looking at one player and then another player all the time on every roll and trying to figure out what I'm adding and subtracting.
This is a highlight game, a full play game?
It's 30 seconds of play. So if you skate and successfully skate, I think it's 30 seconds. If you take a shot, it's 30 seconds. So it's probably a highlight type of game.
APA.
Probably very similar to APA. So I'm interested to see how it goes. Obviously penalties when you get to hockey games are a nightmare, no matter what game it is. So there was a whole, there was the rules, and then there's like the rules doubled when you add the penalties into it. That's just how it goes. Yeah. But you roll dice and you roll a 20 and a 10-sided die, which is how the Dice Nuts games work, and you make your adjustment and you look to see where you are, and you see if you skate successfully or if you lose the puck or if there's a face-off or a penalty or a shot on goal, and then you take the shot. So I'm interested to see how it goes, because I do like the golf game. So I'm kind of hoping if I like the golf game, I'll like the hockey game.
Okay.
And then the big one that I think everybody in the community has been playing is the new game by Al Wilson, the Fast Drive Football.
Love that.
I love it. Everyone loves this game. He was on the Apple Football podcast, and I watched that, and he talked about how
Greg.
He's been working on that for 4 years, he said, and he's off and on, and now he finally released it. Boy, there's people that are making seasons for that and coming up with charts and the whole bit. And it's a drive-by-drive game set up in the play games style, where you roll 3 dice.
If you love their games, then you will love.
If you like History Maker Baseball or History Maker Golf, that's what this is. It's you roll the dice, and again, if you roll 3, 5, 1, you put them in order 1, 3, 5, and you look at the chart, and it's like, is the offense a stellar offense? Then this happens. If not, you go to the next column. Is the defense, a porous defense or whatever it is? And then if not, then you go to the final column to get the result. So each drive has 3 possibilities, which is kind of neat. So I look at it as I compare it a lot to Game-Winning Drive by Downey Games, which I absolutely love. Game-winning drive. And what this does is it takes that and it just gives it some more meat on that bone. It's like Game-Winning Drive 2.0 or maybe even 3.0. It just has that feel to it. It does a few more things. So it's not just roll the dice, did they score or not. There's a few other things that can kind of happen in that. You have unusual charts, which is kind of fun, and I did have a couple of unusual events already. Scoop and score, I think I had, and
nice.
block field goals leading to great field position, or poor field position, whatever it is. So I like how you have the field position. You have poor, average, and great field position, and that can really change on when you roll the dice what can happen. Because you'll check, are you in great field position? Touchdown. Are you in poor field position? Punt. So that can really sway the game. So it's game-winning drive with a whole bunch of extras involved, and it's really kind of fun. And it's free. FastDriveFootball.com. He's pumping out seasons. People have created seasons in that game already, so the community's going wild, especially all the game developers. They're developing all kinds of things for it. Finding ways to see who got the score and how long the score was, and if it's a touchdown, how long was the run, or how long was the pass, and who caught it. So people are really taking this game and running with it, and very enjoyable game. So kudos to Al on that game there. So I've been doing a lot of golf in that, of course, that new hockey game there. And I think that's about all I've been playing. I need to get back to my 1980 Solitaire Pro Football season.
That's such a fun game.
I haven't played that in a couple of months, and I have game overload right now. I do, and I've printed out a couple of other games that people have sent me and said, hey, check this out. And unfortunately, I just haven't got to them because every time I turn around, it's, Dice Nuts had the sale, so I grabbed their games. Al comes out with his football game. I grabbed that game, I still got a couple of products I want to kind of bang out, so I'm working on that. So everywhere I turn, there's a game to play. And, and then, of course, now I go back to work, and I'm working nights and mornings, and just work schedule's crazy.
It's just the way it is,
I got a few weeks off, and I played a ton of games, and now all of a sudden I'm back to work, and I'm not playing anything right now, hardly. So it's been an up and down summer, just like the weather here. So,
like the weather. So before we go into the meat of the topic of the show, because I did want to do this off the top, you all know my cat. If you've seen my videos, you've seen the cat. She's not on very often, but she when she's on, she makes an impact.
She makes herself known. She gets her time on camera.
She makes herself known. We'll have had her 10 years next week, as a matter of fact. So a couple nights ago, I must have been really tired because she likes to preen around and make herself comfortable when she lays down next to me or on me. So this was a next to me thing, and so I have to wait because she has a claw. Okay, she likes to poke me in the face with said claw, and I really don't need my eye poked out at 9:30 at night or whatever. And so I said I must have fell instantly asleep because I woke up. Dave knows this, but I woke up with her paw in my nose. Yes, exactly that. Her paw in my nose. And I woke up and my eyes are open and she's, the happiest look of content cat ever. And, oh my God, did that hurt? I don't know how the hell anyone would choose to have that part of your body pierced, but she, as I wrote on Facebook the other day, you could pick your pet and you can pick your nose. And apparently your pet can pick your nose.
I guess so.
So,
Cat claws hurt, and then they get infected. They hurt.
The bone. I mean, it's literally why you can't declaw a cat. It's part of her knuckle.
Yeah.
And they can retract in that. And she doesn't do the whole poking thing with the claws retract. So I woke up Thursday morning and my nose still hurt. I actually had to check to see if she cut me inside there. Well,
now you can't even go to sleep in peace. What can you do? Hey, real quick before we get to the topic of injuries here, I'm gonna make this real quick. I gave you the long version this morning of the dream I had last night, and I thought I would share this because it's just kind of creepy. So I had this dream, and I was in the upstairs of a hockey rink, and somehow there was this big pro shop / restaurant, and everybody was having a great time. It was like a secret place to go for the well-to-dos, and somehow I'm in this place, and it's real late at night, and all these people are there that I know, and I looked at my watch in the dream, and it said 1:47 a.m. And these people are acting like it's 8 o'clock at night. Now, again, this is my dream. And it's 1:47 at night, and I'm talking to people, and they're like, hey, we'll see you tomorrow at the rink. I'm like, we play at 7 a.m. That's when we start playing. It's 1:47 in the morning, and the game's at 7 a.m., and you're sitting there with a drink in your hand telling me you're going to see me in the morning. I'm like, what's going on here? It's the middle of the night, but it feels like earlier. And something else happened, and I woke up. And I rolled over, and it says, if that clock says 1:47, and I rolled over, and it's a digital clock, and it was 1:47 on the nose, and I completely freaked out.
I bet.
I did. Because I looked at my watch in the dream, said 1:47 a.m., and I'm like, it's way too late. You guys will never be there.
Such a specific time.
Yes, it wasn't like midnight. It was 1:47. When I rolled over, my big digital clock on the wall said 1:47, and I a little chill went down my spine. It was. So anyway, let's talk about injuries.
Yes.
So it seems like there's a lot of games, especially the play-by-play games, not so much the quick play games, that injuries are a part of. You know, especially when you're doing season replays or playoff replays. A lot of games, especially the hockey games, have a lot of built-in injuries to it. You know, it's like, oh, if this happens, you got an injury. You know, are you out for the period? Are you out for the game? Are you out for a lot of games? You know, I know football too. Action PC football, you can set up for no injuries, that game only, or regular injuries. So
right.
Injuries are part of, obviously, sports, are part of replays in a whole bit. So we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about how we handle injuries. What are some of the things we do with them? What do we allow? What do we don't allow? And things like that. I think the first... I'm going way back. Hang on a sec. So I got to go way back here. I think it was 98. It might have been Front Page Sports 98.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
And we just moved into the house. We moved in here in 97, so I think it was 98. I was over in Studio A, actually. Before it was Studio A, I was in Studio A playing a football game. I think it was called Front Page Sports Football 98. And I says, I'm going to take the 49ers. I'm going to be Steve Young. And let's see how I can do. And it was kind of I think it was a video game. I think you used a joystick to play with it, I think it was. Or maybe you just called the play. I forget now. So long ago.
You could do both. I had that game. You could do both.
And the opening game, Steve Young gets hurt and he's out for the season. And I don't know who the backup was at the time, but I remember saying to myself, I didn't get this game and install it and start playing as the 49ers to play as the backup.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want to play Steve Young. That's who I want to play. So that was my first foray into injuries, and I remember I just quit. And I don't even know if I ever went back to the game because I just was like, no, this is not going to happen. And that's happened.
A bad first impression.
Yeah, it was, you know. And again, maybe I could have turned it off the injuries or maybe whatever, but it just was, you know, sometimes you want to play, you know, with all the rules and let the chips fall where they may, but when something like that happens, and that's happened a few other times in games I've played where it's like, you know, the person that you want to play. I think you've done a tribute game one time where a guy got hurt, right? Or got kicked out or something. I remember you did a tribute game and somebody got injured.
Kobe Bryant came close to fouling out in his tribute game.
I thought there was another tribute game that you did, and the guy got hurt early in the game, and you just kind of scrapped it. And I don't even think you were live. I think you were just taping it.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
And so I, you know, I get injuries are part of it, but again, we play this. I mean, there's many different reasons why we play these games, but if I'm looking to play Bobby Orr and Bobby Orr is out for the season, that kills the replay project for me.
Yeah,
you know. Now, if he misses a couple of games, that might be one thing. Okay, it's a little bit realistic or whatever. But injuries are such a wild card when it comes to these games. Now, I do a lot of one-offs, as you know, or very short projects. I tend to turn off the injuries because
you're just playing a one or two games.
Yeah, I'm playing something pretty specific for a very specific reason for my enjoyment. And quite honestly, even if the other team's starting goalie, pitcher, quarterback got hurt and it was an advantage for my team, I'm still not playing that game to see the backup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I want to put the backup in, I'll put them in. So for me, most of the time, I don't use injuries because it's very frustrating because it goes against what I was set out to do. That being said, sometimes I do allow them and I do roll with them because it's part of the game, so to speak. And if you're doing a longer project with stats, that's part of it. In fact, with Replay PC Basketball, I'm playing the Celtics, and was it 85, 86, I think I was playing. And I noticed that a couple of the players didn't play every game. And I don't know if it was injury or just rest or whatever. And I was wondering, it's like, So this, I'm letting it play on automatic. So if it's going to take the Celtics and say, okay, Mikhail's got to miss 10 games. At some point, he's going to miss 10 games, so he's not going to dress in here somewhere. I'm okay with that, but I'm just kind of hoping that the computer was going to do the same to the other teams. So, you know, I don't want their best 10 guys playing, you know, all 80 games or whatever they play in the NBA,
Right.
and then have me be the only team being honest with the injuries. But I think it was either you or somebody else said no, that the computer will recognize which games. Because I think that's what Strat Hockey does too. Strat Hockey says, okay, you know, you're going to miss 12 games during the season, so we're going to figure that in when we're playing here, that you're going to miss some games. So I don't mind if it's fair like that, but I always wondered that about the Replay PC Basketball. Will it do that to the other teams, or am I always going to play their best guy?
It's random.
Okay, good.
It's random. So
good.
if someone starts 48 games, then they'll try to do. I mean, you can always override it if you don't want it.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So I tend to not use the injuries in a game. Even with inside the crease hockey, even this project here, I think I turned injuries off, and I like when you play a game that you can turn the injuries off. I do like that because it's a lot of time. Like again, you're sitting down to play that one game that you're dying to play, and your favorite guy gets hurt or somebody key gets hurt, and it's like I'm so torn. You know what I mean? I'm torn because that is the realistic part of the sim. That can happen, and you don't want a totally controlled environment when you're doing these things. You want that random upset. You want that random injury. You want that random crazy thing to happen. You know, you want the Bucky Dent home run. You know, you want things
no,
like
don't. But I get what you're saying.
you want things like that to happen. But at the same time, boy, oh boy, injuries can really, really just take the air out of a game for you.
Depending on how you decide to play, for baseball, I tend to do as played, and injuries are already factored into that. So if someone wasn't in the lineup, then they aren't going to start. Now, if they came back at some point in the year and they're still not in the starting lineup or in the starting rotation, then you can decide what you want to do with that player, whatever makes it more enjoyable for you. So when I do my baseball replays, you are able to be injured, but you can only be injured for that game, because if you go longer than that, it's going to mess up the as played part of those lineups. In fact, I believe that's the default in Stratomatic, the PC, is that, you know, if you just shut them off, you could have them just in that game. So it's possible for, let's say, a Pete Rose to tweak his thumb or a hamstring and miss the rest of the game, which changes the balance of the game. But if he was scheduled to play in game 2 of the doubleheader or the next day, he's back. He's back, because you're trying to be as realistic as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I also have in Action PC, I have ejections turned on too, and trust me, it came up this week when a pitcher got ejected for arguing balls and strikes.
Do they ever last more than 4 hours? Those ejections?
Ejections.
Yeah. I just making sure that
if you have an ejection that lasts more than 4 hours, you're getting a divorce.
That's a heck of a discussion there with the umpire.
It is. I think you were the umpire that day too when you were watching the hockey game. Anyway, so for that in baseball, or as you said, depending on, look, it's your replay, you can do whatever you want. In football games, I let the injuries just go for the duration because it changes the story. There's a setting I know in Action PC Football that says don't have a player miss more than the games that are left to start or whatever. So if someone played 9 games, the computer is going to do what it can to make sure that they play in those. So if you get hurt in week 2 of a 16-game season, they can't miss the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So
I think Al Red Sox fan overrode that with both Namath and Stabler, because he's enjoying playing. He played Namath on the Rams. And I don't think he finished the season, but he took off injuries. He played the season, and I think he's doing the same.
Rams made the Super Bowl. He finished that season.
Yeah, he went. Yeah, in his replay, they went. And so he's doing the same with Stabler now on the New Orleans Saints, and so I think he's playing out the whole season. So I think Stabler actually retired. He didn't get hurt, but I think he's kind of plowing through that. So I guess that injuries and retirement might actually kind of almost go hand in hand to a certain degree.
Anyway, so back to you can change those on the computer games to that, and I just tend to let the computer handle that, because the temptation is to play commissioner and let things go. But if someone's out for 6 weeks, you got to make do. I mean, that's, again, it's part of the game process. I like how in Action PC basketball, get in-game injuries. So you might lose someone for 3 quarters. They get back the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game. Or whatever.
I see. Okay.
But I think it just poses, as a coach, it just poses that extra layer of complexity. Like, okay, so, you can change it to just 1 game or no games or whatever. But for those, I just let go. And if you're coaching a single team, you, just like in real life, you just got to work around the injury. Hopefully it's not too severe, and hopefully it's realistic. McHale on that 85-86 Celtics team only played in 68 games. So, if he was gone half the year, I would be upset about that. But if I know, nope, he's going to miss the next 10, I'm expecting that he'll be there the rest of the way. You just got to coach around it, and Scott Wedman isn't going to kill you. That right. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
But again, it kind of comes down to how complex you want that. In cards and dice, you're on the honor system. I mean, Stratomatic had the first injury system out there. Roll a 6-12 if you're the DH or the pitcher, and oops, how long are you gone for? And depending on the role, it could be, in the basic system, it could be, he just fouled a pitch off and he'll be back, or he's gone for 2 weeks. Or if you use the super advanced thing, it could be as many as 60 days. That's a real tricky in a draft league.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. If you're in a draft league,
in a draft league, you have to play that on unless it's your own draft league. But if you're doing a league with other players, you got to be honest about that. You spend your fake money on, let's say, Kobe Bryant or Kevin Durant or something like that, and they're gone half the year.
I think that's one of the reasons why I don't.
Yeah, it's one of the,
because again, you take a team and your best player or a guy that you really wanted to be on your team, and he's out for the season or out for a significant length of time. Boy, your interest in that project and the whole bit goes straight down, and it is. I can imagine it'd be hard to play through that, knowing that
Yeah, especially if you go from middle of the pack team, and maybe he'll be back for the playoffs or whatever. So I think for me it depends on the size of the project. I'm with you. For a one-off injuries within the game, and maybe you get carted off or whatever, that especially in football, that happens. But over a season replay, I think I tend not to overrule. I let them go, and I think, as I said, the game companies have been better about how you can tweak those things to make it more realistic.
I played Franchise Hockey Manager one time. I want to say it was, I was getting the sirens going. I don't know if that's you or me, but the sirens going. That's you. I was playing Franchise Hockey Manager, and I don't know if it was 3, 4, or 5, whatever it was. And I think I was playing WHA. I think I took the New England Whalers, and I was coaching them. I just kind of put it on autopilot after a while because I don't know how to coach in that game very well. But anyway, I got into the playoffs, and one of my guys got hurt, out for a couple of games, okay. And I managed to win. And then another guy got hurt for a couple of games, okay. By the time I got to the finals, I want to say 3 of my top 5 guys were out. And that kind of soured me because
defeats the whole purpose.
You play the whole season out. You get to the playoffs. You work through some injuries, and then you get to the finals, and it's like I got smoked, because all my guys were hurt, and it really soured me because I was like, I know that it realistically could happen, but jeepers, it's like here I am, I get all the way to finals, and 3 of my top 5 guys are out, and I'm like, it just wasn't fun. It
only works if you're Kirk Gibson. If you're going to have one shot in the World Series, then
yeah. But
yeah.
So I remember, and then so I talked about that. I was complaining about it, and they said, "Oh, you can go in at any time and get rid of all the injuries." So now, what I do when I play that game, sometimes if the injuries start really piling up, I go in and I just hit reset all injuries to the players are healthy, and that's the great thing about that game. It is truly a sandbox, but it's just but there was one. I went back and I did another season, and it kept happening and happening, and I remember going in like every couple of weeks and resetting injuries and resetting because I had so many guys with the little Red Cross symbol on them because they were all hurt. I'm like, man. It's like there is, but I just kind of just let it ride, and so now when I go to set this up, I either turn. I don't know if it's to turn injuries off, or if there's a slider, and I think I remember talking to Jeff one time, and I was like, Jeff, you need to put in an injury slider, because not that I want no injuries, but this game does such a accurate job, and we've talked about that before about accuracy versus fun. And that's one of those things where the accuracy, for me, wasn't fun. For some people, it might be because it's accurate. But for me, the fun factor kind of went out the window when all my guys were hurt. And, I know that's part of how you play that game is you're managing that and you're working around injuries and you're mixing and matching. And that's part of the fun for some people. But for casual guys like myself, it can be kind of frustrating.
It can be quite aggravating. And to go back to your story, okay, I'm interested in doing this because of player A, and you get to a point in the season or in baseball, critical series, which makes or break your season, or football or whatever, and they're not there. And again, if you're doing a full season, a neutral season replay, that's part of the story. But yeah, I'm like, I got to go back and play this now.
One of the injury things I enjoy playing is action PC hockey. I feel does probably some of the best injury related things, because what'll happen with that is I like to do manual line changes when I play action PC hockey, and what'll happen is like one of your defensemen gets hurt for like the period.
Right.
Something like that. He'll be back. So you're without him for the period, and sometimes you still get 10 or 12 minutes to go, and then one of your other defensemen gets into a fight. And so now you're down 2 defensemen, and a lot of times
that's realistic. That does happen.
And a lot of times you only have 5 or 6 defensemen out there. So now you're rotating your 4D, and they're just getting tired, and you see those numbers just dwindling down because they can't get the proper rest, and so it's like you're just constantly shuffling lines and holding your breath just to get out of the period or just to kill off that 5 minutes so you can get the guy out of the box from the fight. That I do find enjoyable. It's a little aggravating, but I do find it enjoyable because you can kind of see it play out in front of you. But you're knowing that as soon as that penalty's up and you get a whistle, you get your guy back, and now you can rest your guys. Or when the period's over, this guy's back from the dressing room, whatever happened to him. So in that case, I do really enjoy it. But I have had issues where, a couple of guys were done for the game, and I'm like, man, what do I do now? I have 4 defensemen. I need to go in and move somebody back or do something here, and it really becomes a
Come out of retirement, Eddie Westfall. I need you to play the point.
Yeah, you're pulling guys out of the stands who you're pulling Zamboni drivers out and putting them back on defense. But it was so sometimes I have enjoyed the injury part of games, and other times they've been more of a nuisance, and I tend to either like inside the crease, I either shut them off or I just ignore them completely.
I know that if I tend to do a pure cards and dice or cards, dice, Excel helper, or however I play cards and dice, I tend to ignore injuries because I'm the one that has to go through and find a replacement and we're big talkers of the word flow. It's like, how do I know this player was injured? And how do I know, Someone slid in the bag in second. They're injured for 2 days. No, they're not. You know, and it's when you play the PC or anything mechanical like that, your player's injured. Congratulations, he'll be back in 2 days.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, no, we took a minute. He got his breath. He may be seeing 5 of the ball coming at him, but if he can figure out which one to swing at, that's fine. Just because it makes that extra work. And again, no, if you're a stickler, okay, fine. But if you're just kicking back and relaxing and just doing something, nope, that didn't happen.
I think sometimes for me it depends on my mood, because I remember I played a couple of Apple hockey games where a rare injury come up and the guy was out for the period, or it was a rare play and his skate busted for the period. And so again, now you get into a lot of thinking, and I think what I just did is I just sat him out for the period and rotated.
There's a variety of things you could do.
And I just rotated the other 2 guys, but I probably should have played some sort of a fatigue factor. Now that I think about it, because you're missing a guy, and the other 2 guys are putting in extra work, and they're not getting the rest out there. I just kind of went with the flow and just said, the heck with it. Just, okay, you can't play, so you're not going to be involved until the next period. And I didn't have any kind of penalty at all or fatigue penalty for the 2 other defensemen.
Yeah.
But I remember it was kind of fun that I had a couple of guys I had a goalie that got injured one time. He got cut in the face in Apple hockey, and he come out of the game. And that was kind of interesting. And I had the same thing happen in shootout when I was replaying my 1970 season, 70-71 season, which I haven't touched in a couple of months now. And I will be doing a video on that, by the way, I decided.
Sure, Jim.
Where I think it was like a Buffalo-Vancouver game, a couple of obscure teams from 1970. It was 2 teams I didn't know that well. And I'm playing shootout, and I rolled in. The goalie was injured. He come out of the game. Right? So I had to put in the other guy. When I went to NHL.com and looked up that game for the starting goaltenders, that team used both goalies in that game. Yeah, where am I here? Where am I? I mean, what are the chances that I'm playing a full season replay and one of the games in October, goalie gets hurt and comes out, and when I looked it up, that same game, they used both goalies.
All the better, doesn't it?
It was eerie, because it was like, did they yank him because they scored a lot of goals, or was he hurt? Or because it doesn't say what happened, but they used both. And in my game, I used both as well. And once in a while, you hit those little things. It's like, holy crap, that's unbelievable.
I had a game in college, Strat Draft League. Actually, I think I'm playing one of Tony Whitehill's team.
Monty, I'll take the squid, please.
There you go.
I got it in for you.
You're welcome. Your brother from another mother. And we were only allowed to have 2 goalies on our team. And they both got hurt.
I think a lot of games, they mentioned in the rules that.
Let me finish this. So okay. I remember getting on the phone to call somebody in another dorm. I'm doing this. I don't know what to do. And he came over, and we talked it over, and technically I was on the power play the rest of the game, and but anything that was a goalie rating was a goal, and I got hammered because there wasn't a provision for that. I don't know what the provision is. I mean, there's no Zamboni driver that you could have a card for.
I think from what I read, a lot of the games now, they do have a provision, I believe, that says that both goalies cannot be hurt. That if one gets hurt and you go to the other one can't get hurt.
Yeah, that would make them. That's what I argued for.
Or if they're both hurt, you pick one, or maybe you pull in the third guy if you're playing cards and dice. But you have to have a goalie in the net, and the odds of 2 getting hurt are so slim.
I've never heard.
Yeah, so I think that's
both goalies get fatigued, but I've never had both goalies.
I think that's built into a lot of, because again, the game's over at that point. If you don't have a goalie, you have to have a goalie. Otherwise, you know, and even in our leagues, some of my men's leagues, if you show up without a goalie, you don't play the game. because you can't have a game without a goalie, and you're not just going to stick somebody in the net and have them fire pucks at them and get hurt. So it's just, there's no game. The game's a forfeit. It's over. So you have to have a goalie. So I think a lot of these games say, look, if you can't have both goalies get hurt. So if the first guy goes down and he's out for the game, the other guy's in, and a tank could run over him and he's going to be fine. So that's how I would play it too. Is just you can't have them both hurt. Either that or maybe you go to the third guy. Maybe you dress that guy in an emergency and you bring in.
I think that's how they would have handled it if we had all disbanded, as emergency goalie. But yeah, so that sort of thing. So I'd be kind of curious to see how you guys handle that situation, and how strict are you with it, and what do you do in a season replay if it happens, or what do you do if you roll the wrong thing and your star player misses a half or 3/4 of the season?
Yeah, what if you're halfway through a very long project and he's done for the year? That would be worse than opening day. Because at least opening day, like, okay, I haven't even started this. I'm done with it. But if I'm into a long season and my guy's leading the league in passes or scoring or shots or home runs or whatever, and he gets hurt, it's like, oh my gosh, it sucks the life out of it, So yeah, so how do you guys do the injury thing? How do you handle the injury bug? Do you play with injuries? Do you not? Do you have your homebrew rules for that? Do you use them for certain products and not others? Do you just ignore them altogether? Are you a stickler and go right by the book? And I know we have a whole bunch of people that do it different ways. So yeah, we're interested to see how you do that. So that'll wrap up episode 99, the great one.
The great one.
The great episode. Next week is episode 100, and we have a terrific guest lined up for that one. And then the week after that, 101, another terrific guest lined up. Hopefully they both come through. I think we're going to enjoy talking to them. I know that, and I hope you will too.
Yes.
So anyway, hey, so ways to get a hold of us. Digitaltodice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE. 978-751-3423 is the text line. Digitaltodice@yahoo.com. And over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. Ron, thanks for joining me today.
As always.
And we're going to fade out with the music and just let it run here in its entirety, our outro music. R.I.P. Mike Howe, the lead singer for Metal Church, who passed away this week. And thank you to the band and Rat Pack Records for letting us use this song. And yeah, very, very sad week for me, and as it relates to the show and our theme music. So I'm Dave.
I'm Ron.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.